Hello curious people, and welcome. Today I'm going to take you through my process of how I make my stickers. I forgot to introduce myself, sorry. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a professional artist and software engineer based in Melbourne, Australia, and I have been making my own stickers since about 2018. And today I really wanted to kind of just walk you through everything so that you can avoid some of the mistakes that I've made over the last number of years doing this, and also just maybe for fun, inspiration, whatever you fancy. So, without further ado, I'll take you through start to finish, from printing, laminating, cutting, testing, and some extra maybe technical bits and my settings and some other extra bits of information. As well as I'll link all of the materials I'm using down below. Let's get started, and first I'll take you through the tools and materials that I use. First, and I guess maybe most important, is some sticker paper, and in this case it's sticker vinyl. I use Avarrix sticker vinyl. They come in a lot of different kinds. There's like glossy, matte, clear, etc. I use a variety of all of them, but for my main stickers I just use the Avarrix A4 glossy. You want to make sure the kind of sticker labels and sticker sheets you get are ideally a vinyl that's already water resistant or waterproof out of the box, so when the ink dries on it from your standard at-home inkjet printer, it won't bleed when it comes into contact with water. Following on from that, you're going to want some nice laminates. I've got this sort of no-name brand laminate, and my favorite kind is a matte laminate, so it doesn't have like a super reflective sheen, and it has a really nice soft, smooth finish. I find, although glossy laminates might make certain colors pop, that the matte laminates really don't dull them down, and it gives them that sort of sleek, comfortable feeling that makes them feel professional, not very cheap. I'll link the specific matte laminate that I buy, but basically anything you can use that's like a clear adhesive that you can smoothly apply on top of your stickers will protect them. It will protect them from UV damage, they won't fade in the sun. It'll protect them from extra moisture and humidity. So if your stickers aren't super waterproof to begin with, this will make them more water resistant. Next is my absolutely beloved squeegee. This is actually a screen printing squeegee that I got with a screen printing kit, but this works super well for me doing the laminates. It just makes everything go on nice and smoothly and helps create that even pressure across the whole sheet. It's always good to have a good pair of scissors in case things go wrong, or if you need to cut anything. In my case, if something goes wrong with a cutting machine and it doesn't cut all the way through and I need to trim something down, a good pair of scissors will always save you. I also recommend just like a good quality cutting mat. In my case, I don't actually use the first party brand cutting mats because I don't like them. I find that basically they're either too sticky or not sticky enough. And I'll link it down below, but I highly recommend. You can buy them in little packs and they're super cheap and they'll serve you a lot better than the first party brand cutting mats will. I like to keep a small brush on hand to keep the blade clean when little bits and particles and sticker vinyl get stuck in it. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it's definitely handy. Make sure you keep your blade clean. I also recommend having a large, healthy dose of patience, because when getting to know your cutting machine, it will be a headache and a half, but they will be well worth it because you can get some really beautifully cut stickers that look and feel super professional and super cute. I'll also give a brief mention to my printer and cutter. So the printer I use for all of my stickers and everything else is the Epson XP-970. You can get them at Officeworks, pretty cheap, at under $400 Australian. I will go more into detail about this printer later on, but I do like it. It is a good printer and I would recommend it. For my cutting machine, I use a Silhouette Cameo 3, so this is 2 generations older than the current models. I think there's a Silhouette Cameo 5 at the moment, and this thing's been pretty reliable workhorse given that this machine is about 7 years old, maybe more. I'll go more into detail about my cutting machine also later on in this video. TLDR, yes, I would recommend it. The Cameo 3 is great and I love it. Definitely don't get a Cricut. Alright, so let me talk a little bit more in depth about printing. As I mentioned before, I use the Epson XP-970, and this is a fairly affordable at-home inkjet printer. I would highly recommend something like this. I know a lot of people recommend the EcoTank, but I hear a lot of mixed reviews about that printer. There are a lot of third-party inks available, super cheap. In Australia, we get a lot of our stuff from InkStation. That's one of our biggest suppliers of inks and thermal labels and the like. You can kind of refill this thing on like a full set of inks for, like $50, maybe less. And it will take pretty much any kind of paper that I put in it, except for the Cricut brand vinyls. It really absolutely hates those with a burning passion because of the way that they curl. They jam every single time. No other paper has given me any grief with this machine, with this printer. Just the Cricut brand printable vinyl specifically. I don't even know if they make that anymore, but it used to give me so many problems. Otherwise, it's an excellent printer, 10 out of 10, I would recommend it. Step 1 is obviously printing your stickers. I will probably take you into Silhouette Studio later to show you what the format looks like for that, but printing your stickers is going to be the same kind of regardless of whether you use Silhouettes or Cricuts or if you cut them by hand. Essentially, you want to print them. If you're using a vinyl, even if it's a matte vinyl, you probably still want to use like a semi-gloss setting because your printer will be able to lay down more ink. Because vinyl is designed to receive a bit more ink than your regular papers, make sure you select a semi-gloss or a glossy or a photo quality print with a high quality setting. Next step is laminating, and this is probably going to be the most important thing I will tell you in this entire video. So please, if you don't remember anything else, just remember this. If you're printing at home with an inkjet printer to make your stickers on vinyl and you're going to laminate them, do not laminate them for at least 24 hours. Please, print them out, stick them in a drawer, set them aside and let that ink sit for 24 hours. This is a process known as outgassing, and this is essentially where the inks settle into the paper. Even though it feels dry to the touch, they're not fully dry and they need to release gases as they dry deeper into the vinyl. And if you laminate before the outgassing process has completed, that gas and that moisture has nowhere to go, and it will cause your stickers to bleed and look blurry and horrible, and you will be like, why do none of my stickers look any good? Why is this laminate making them suddenly look all like blurry and weird and they look crisp before? It's because you didn't let them outgas. So please stick them in a drawer somewhere where they won't get dust settling onto them, put them aside and leave them 24 hours and then come back to laminate them. This is something I wish somebody had told me a lot earlier. As mentioned before, this is the laminate that I use. It comes from like a generic brand online. I'll put the name on the screen. I think it's like ABCOLOR something. I buy nice matte laminates, and when you go to apply the laminate, my process, it's going to potentially be different from yours, but for me what works the best is I lie the sticker sheet flat on the table, and then with the laminate I peel back kind of like 1 to 2 centimeters at the top of the laminate and sort of slightly crease the backing paper so that it stays out of the way, and then I carefully line up the top of the laminate, leaving like maybe half a centimeter to a centimeter hanging off the top of the sheet so that when I press it down, the top of the laminate adheres to the table as well as the sheet, and I work from the center outwards. So as the laminate gets pressed down, it's not creating lots of tension going from the sides in at the very top. I just start from the center, pressing outwards towards the corners until that first centimeter or so is nice and firmly pressed down. And once that's done, basically the laminate should be helping to hold your sticker sheet in place onto the table so it won't move. But you want to lift up the laminate sheet, grab a hold of the backing with the squeegee in your other hand, your dominant hand ideally, and then you just want to press with sort of a medium firm pressure, not too firm but not too light. This bit will take a lot of muscle memory practice. This is what you'll have to actually do to kind of really get a feel for it. With a medium sort of firm pressure, you just want to pull down with consistent speed and pressure, which is super important. If it's inconsistent, that will give you more bubbles than using the wrong amount of pressure. And just pull down all the way decisively, and then bam, it'll be on there. And sometimes I like to flip over the backing of the laminate to use as a protective cover over the laminates when I go to squeegee further and harder across the surface of the laminate. But in this case, the matte laminate's pretty scratch resistant. But for things like a glossy laminate, I find they scratch more easily, and you'll definitely want to cover it with something when you go to really squeegee that thing. Now that your sticker sheet is fully laminated and ready to go, it's time to cut it. Now you can cut stickers by hand, obviously sticker sheets not so much, but if you're doing die cut stickers, you can take a good old-fashioned pair of scissors to them. Just be mindful that that can easily and quickly result in like an RSI injury. As mentioned previously, I used the Silhouette Cameo 3 as my cutting machine, and I've had this machine for about 7 years, and there are some newer models available. I think they're up to the Cameo 5. I did hear that most people would recommend you avoid the Cameo 4 because it was louder and less reliable than the Cameo 5. I also have heard of a few people using a new brand of machine called the Size of Juliet, but I can't really speak to the quality of the machines because I've never really used one or looked too deeply into them. The fact that my machine has lasted me 7 years is pretty good. I do run into the odd issue here and there, but I have always been able to work around them, solve the problem, or replace a component if necessary. So let's jump over into Silhouette Studio actually, and I will show you briefly what my file setup looks like for my stickers and my sticker sheets. I won't go too in depth in overall how to use Silhouette Studio, but if you do want me to make a full tutorial video like how to use Silhouette Studio, print your stickers, the software, how to design the cut lines and all that, I can make a more full-length, in-depth discussion for that. Just let me know. So all of my stickers are typically just drawn digitally using Clip Studio Paint these days. I prepare them very minimally. I just kind of draw them and then drop them into Silhouette Studio and format them to the right size with the cut lines there. I don't tend to create my cut lines externally. There's a useful tool built into Silhouette Studio. You can say basically create me some extra outlines around whatever it sort of thinks the die line of the shape is. And if there are any issues or errors, you can kind of just manually clean them up a bit. In this case, I use a 2mm thickness outline for almost all of my die cut stickers these days. Slightly bigger for certain other types of stickers, like maybe one of my holographic stickers where I wanted a larger holographic border. And you want to be mindful that you don't have your stickers obstructing the registration mark areas. So there's big hatching lines over the corners, and what it's trying to tell you is don't put anything here. Anything you put here could interfere with its ability to read the registration marks and cut accurately. And to maximize the space on the canvas, I recommend you set your registration marks to the maximum thickness but the minimum inset. So this will push them as far out to the borders as the software will allow you to, and it will create more space on the canvas, but with an increased thickness it has a higher accuracy. Now if you're doing sticker sheets and not just die cut stickers, when you go over to the Send tab, you'll see the cut settings have like multiple sub tabs. I usually hit the line sub tab, and I use that sub-tab section to say one color of my lines should use this setting and another color of my lines should use a different setting, and I use that to differentiate between the kiss cut and the die cut. The kiss cut being the cut you're familiar with on a sticker sheet where you can peel them off the backing but it doesn't cut all the way through the backing. I'll put my settings up on the screen for what I do use currently, but bear in mind that if you are using like a newer model of the Cameo, that cut setting will probably be completely irrelevant, and even if you are using the Cameo 3 like I am, you'll probably still need to experiment with them yourself to find out whether or not these cut settings are even remotely close to what you really need them to be, because each machine is different and you will just have to test the settings until you get them doing exactly what you want. I recommend just grabbing some scrap bits of material, a laminated sheet of stickers, and just cutting lots of tiny little shapes in them until you get it absolutely flawless and reliable in its cut. But even when you have got your cut settings configured, just always make sure to double check that your blade is clean, there's nothing in the way, and that the first cut you run cuts as you expect for each batch, because the worst thing is going to be if you set your cut settings and you think, oh, this is going to run fine, and then you cut like 60 sticker sheets and they just don't cut properly. Speaking from personal experience, it's a bit of a nightmare. Otherwise, just let the cutting machine do its thing. And maybe wear some noise cancelling headphones, because the machine is like nah, as it cuts through the stickers. Congratulations, you've now printed, laminated and cut your stickers. It's time to test them. So to test my stickers, the two primary things I tend to test are, first of all, UV resistance. So sticking them in the sun and leaving them there for at least a couple of weeks and making sure that they don't immediately fade in direct sunlight. And the second being waterproof testing, so just running them under the water. I know my stickers that I make are not dishwasher proof, and that's partly because it's just the type of ink that I use. Like the printer is an inkjet printer and they're not really chemical and high temperature resistant. However, the stickers that I make are waterproof, and I put them on my water bottles and other containers and things, run them under the water, soaps, brushes, scrubbing, and they don't budge, they don't smear, they don't seem affected at all by the moisture. There are obviously plenty of other tests you can do for your stickers, but I think these are kind of some really simple things you can do to make sure that the stickers are going to be durable and last a good long time for whoever's using them. And in turn, that will make you confident when selling them online or in person, or gifting them to people knowing that they're going to be high quality, durable stickers that they're really going to enjoy. And that's it, you've made your stickers. Congratulations. Thank you so much for joining me for my first ever YouTube video and this walkthrough of how I make my stickers, and I hope that this was useful for you, or at least vaguely entertaining. So if you did enjoy this, please let me know, or if I missed anything and there's something else you'd want to know about my process or about sticker making in general, please feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer questions or have a bit of a chat. I'll make sure that everything I've used is listed in the description down below. If you'd like to see more of my artwork, you can find me on Kara or Instagram under MinuteSarah. But thank you so much again for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.